All right, let's do this. I decided to go informal today, wear the Prime shirt. It's been a long day. I think I mentioned before I'm working extra hours trying to quit, which is frankly kind of perverted. For those of you who don't know, I'm leaving Amazon effective September 9th. I've said that before on channel. But it turns out it's harder than I thought. It's emotionally harder, but it's also more damn work. Well, there used to be a lot more of me around, and we'll talk about that because we're going to talk about the main topic today is going to be lifelong goals. And here's the story. The story is 10 years ago, I had some free time one day, and I wrote out a set of goals I wanted to meet sometime in my lifetime. And then I was super busy at Amazon, and I had a new job, and they kind of sat on my hard drive for 10 years. Well, now that I'm leaving Amazon, I'm cleaning out my hard drive. And I went and looked for this file because I knew it was there. So the thing you have to realize is I basically haven't looked at this file in 10 years. And so the interesting question is, how much of these things I set as goals in 2010 do I still care about today? And how many of them did I get done? Because I have some life left, so I can get to some of the others. So let's see. Wow, I'm going to have to update this message. You know, Ethan Evans is, it's not yet, but it's going to have to say is formerly vice president of Twitch Prime, which now needs to say Prime Gaming. So I have some updating to do on that message, but I'll get to it. Yes, that's right. NVA Hitch, I have to make sure I've stored off all the files that I might want to one day use to keep myself alive when the coup comes. So I need all of those stored. Wow. Yeah, thanks for all the subs tonight, folks. It's really nice. I appreciate them very much. And the hype train started. Awesome. Okay. This new interface is pretty interesting. These automated thank you messages. Will you still be involved, such as going to TwitchCon? God, I hope so. I wanted so badly to meet some of you in Amsterdam, and I wanted to go to TwitchCon this fall. So yes, when there is TwitchCon again, I will go. Also, when there is the Game Developers Conference, I will probably go. Okay, but let me jump into what I want to talk about first. Because I was sitting around today trying to think of what I wanted to talk about. And I realized I was sitting through a meeting, bored to death. And I found myself over like late lunch. I was walking with my wife. And I was thinking, God, I just want this day to be over. And then I thought how sad that was. Because I know all of us do it. Like, let's be honest. Oh, we're buffering. That sucks. What's up with that? Too many kids on. Somebody killing my bandwidth. Anyway, hopefully you caught that. If not, we're back live. Look, all of us have sat around at one point or another and just wished for the class, the meeting, the quarter, the day, the whatever it is we wanted to be over, to be over. We've all done this. And I thought, how sad is this? Because that's actually part of your life. It's part of your life that you're wishing away. And I found myself today wishing for part of the day to just be over. And I realized that sucks. Like you only have, NVA Hitch, you are right. Okay, you called it. I'm sure plenty of you are just like, oh, I can't wait for this year to be over. And yet, what a terrible thing to be sitting around waiting for your life to end. I mean, that's not what you're doing, but you're kind of waiting for part of your life to be over. So, advice. This will happen to all of us sometimes. But if you find yourself too often wishing for time to just go by so that you can be later in life, you need to change something. Change what you're studying, change your attitude, change your job. But life is too short if you have any flexibility at all, I mean, I understand some of you may be trapped in economic situations or whatever, short term, but use the magic loop and get out from under it. Sean123. Yeah, I understand that. Anybody who's a parent understands waiting for their 2-year-old to go to bed, and that's tough. Sean has 3 kids, which is normally the number it takes to figure out what causes it. So we'll see if he and his wife go for a 4th, or if they've got a beeline now on the cause and they can avoid it. So, anyway, my thought for you was, it sucks to be sitting. If you find yourself in a situation wishing for your life to pass faster because you're trapped and it's hell, think real hard about how to change that. Gary Vee would always say, if you're working for the weekend, you're doing it wrong. Yes. I've enjoyed most of my work. I've been fortunate enough to do that, and that is completely true. You don't want to be just working to survive. Hello, T Weirdo. Good to see you. I probably surprised you with a stream tonight because I was supposed to do it tomorrow, but I'm doing my farewell with Twitch staff tomorrow for my job there. And so tomorrow when I'm supposed to be on with you, I'll be on there. She broke her arm last week. And there is no way number 4 is happening. Wow. Well, surprise streams are good. So anyway, I've made my point. If you find yourself trapped, consider getting out. Okay. Now, second thing, I'll need to stand up for this. Get out of my easy chair. It's rant time. So I've had only a little bit of the big drink full of Sean's whiskey. And what do I want to talk about here? So we all suck at some stuff. And the key to having a good career is being good at realizing what are you bad at, owning it, and being able to take feedback on it and then focus on your strengths. I had an incident this week, I'm not going to name names, where I had a member of my team just be totally tone deaf to feedback. And again, I don't want to pick on any particular person at work because that's not the point. But we're all terrible at a long list of things, just like we all have some talents. Be humble about realizing, like, this person came out and made a really arrogant statement. And it just totally undermined his credibility at everything else and then when I try to give him feedback, like, hey, you kind of stepped in it there, he couldn't hear it. And he just kept doubling down on defending it. Here's my point. We all suck at lots of things. I have a long list of things I'm not good at. I'm not that good of a listener. I'm not that good at, I've kind of lost my box of periods. It's why I stream, because I talk a lot. I'm not very agile or dexterous. I'm big and strong and powerful, but like, you want quick and finesse, that's not me. It's when I play hockey, I play defense because to be a forward, to be like the scoring guy, the Wayne Gretzky type, you need moves, hands, and a shot. And I have none of those. So knowing what you're bad at is worth knowing because then you can go focus on what you're good at. And when somebody says, well, you kind of suck at this, you can say, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I work with this other person who handles it for me, as opposed to saying, what do you mean? Yes, I do play ice hockey. I also sometimes play hooky, and I am somewhat hokey. So your typo covers them all. No deeks from Ethan. No, I did once punch someone in a Ronald McDonald charity tournament in front of the net. That is not the same as a deke. That was my low light. Yeah, he does have a mean left hook. Yeah. The low light of my hockey career was decking a guy in front of the net in a charity tournament. I definitely had to go, like, they say you go to the box and you feel bad. I felt bad for a very long time. So, yeah. At least I got all of it, though. If you're going to get your 2 minutes, get it all. And man, I laid him out right in front of the net. So, yeah. They wanted to eject me from the game, which probably, it's a charity tournament. I wouldn't have objected, so to speak. I would have ejected. And yes, the good old joke. I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. So anyway, finishing this rant to get to the point. Don't be shy about what you suck at. We can't all be good at everything. Like, I've had a good career and I'm bad at many things. I'm bad at being sensitive to people's feelings a lot of the time. I'm bad at attention to detail, which is something Amazon is famous for, what they call dive deep. My eyes cross when I see big spreadsheets of numbers, which awesome, not awesome Jossum, but awesome P. He's probably like, spreadsheets of numbers, oh my God, yummy. And, I'm like, oh, my eyes are rolling in different directions, and I haven't even had the drink yet. So just know what you're not good at. Why did I hit him? He was up in my grill. That team was irritating me. I felt put upon, and I reacted in self-defense. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I missed so much of the rant. Look, the key is humility. If you get feedback, and I've said this before, say thank you and consider it. And if a bunch of people tell you you're not very good at something, or if people are really earnestly trying to help you see a problem, see it and start figuring out how you're going to compensate for it, not figuring out how you're going to convince them they're wrong. So, yeah, he was up in my grill. That's right. That's kind of a forward's job in front of the net. So he was kind of doing his job, but I was kind of doing my job, which was to lay him out. So we kind of both did our job, is the way I see it. And I do think we won that game. I will also say it was a charity game, so I was playing with other people from Amazon, and one of the senior vice presidents was from Boston, and he's quite a good hockey player. He was a lot smarter than me. He was good at, I can't show this, I gotta get tall, punching people while using his body to shield it from the ref. So he was a lot better at that move, whereas I kind of went this way, and it's very visible. So I need to get better at in here. So I learned from my leaders. You can do that. How do you give criticism without criticizing and stirring up resentment? Good question, Red Jacket. And by the way, the QA widget's open. If you want to submit in the extension questions for later, I'm happy to take them. And other people can vote. The way you do it is you ask for permission. You say, could I give you some feedback? Or would you mind if I made an observation? Or could I offer a perspective? That's generally how you do it. Because very few people will look you right in the face and say, no, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. And then once they mentally say, sure, I'd love to know your perspective, then you can say, my perspective is you're a hairy ape who stinks, paraphrasing. And they kind of have to take it. So, but the other thing is you're trying to be helpful. The human animal is incredibly good at sensing intent and knowing whether you're intending to eat them or carve them up for dinner, or if you're trying to help. So if what you're calling criticism and you don't want defensiveness, if you're truly trying to help someone, your tone of voice and your body language will convey that you're helping. And if you really just want to bag on them, you can't do that without getting defensiveness. So, and I see people here talking in chat. NBA Hitch, who's pretty sly and is a good commentator, says it's a lot of hurt ego, right? It's very hard for people to separate their ego. And that's what I'm telling you to do here. Get good at keeping your ego in check and trying to listen to the feedback, not feel it. You can go feel it later on your own time. But in the moment, try to listen. Try to just say, well, I'll process my feelings about this later. All right. Old Man Burger, he sinks. He doesn't stink. He sinks. All right, so let's get on to the main fun. Let me show you this. It'll be good fun, hopefully. I got to make sure I have the right file up. Is there anything in here? Yeah, so this should be fun. I wrote these goals in 2010, like I said, and I lost this file. Like I filed it away on my hard drive, never saw it again. So I will bring it up and show it off. And I resorted it to list all the goals I completed first, and then I'll talk about the ones I haven't. So we're going to talk about long-term goals, but I thought you'd find this fun to see because I wrote this in 2010 and I scored it yesterday. So over the weekend, I found this file and I went and scored it. I had these life goals, climb Mount Rainier or some similar technical snow mountain. I climbed Rainier and a bunch of other peaks in Washington State that would qualify for this. So I did that. I helped found a coffee plantation in Uganda in about 2000. I went there to, the idea was Uganda is right next to Kenya. So everybody knows about Kenyan coffee. Nobody knows about Ugandan coffee. Why is that? Uganda had a dictator problem. So they had this guy called Idi Amin. Idi Amin killed people so fast and threw them in the Nile that the way people outside the country knew Idi Amin was killing people was the crocodiles in the Nile couldn't eat all the bodies until they floated downstream into the next country. So he was killing people pretty fast, and he wiped out their coffee industry. So we went back to try and help restart it, and then I wanted to go back and see how it had done and visit my friends there. So I did that, and I actually took my daughter with me, which is one of the many ways in which I met the next goal. So my 9 have at least one major adventure with each child. I took my 9-year-old daughter, or I took my daughter when she was 9 to India, as well as when she was 11, and then to Uganda when she was 12. And so a lot of people wouldn't travel to those places with a young kid, but she had a blast, and so did I. When I got to this one, get a patent on an invention, I had to laugh because in 2010 I had 0 patents. And in 2020 I have more than 60. So I kind of feel like I was I kind of undershot on this one. It's the one I crushed the most. And when we get to the end of the ones I've met, I'll talk for a minute about why I think these goals are kind of fun. I wanted to speak to an audience of 1,000 or more. TwitchCon a couple years ago was 1,500 in the auditorium and 70,000 online, so I met that. Some of you know, many of you don't. I grew up very heavy, and I weighed 272 pounds. I'm 6'2", and so I was technically obese. I was not yet morbidly obese. But I'm now under 200 pounds, and I've been there before, and I've maintained it for 12 months. So there's a lot less of me to go around, about 80 pounds less. I did become involved in practical help for the homeless. I'm not very good, by the way. Let me define that. I'm not very good at working with homeless people myself, so I realized the best thing I could do is support others who are, so I mostly give money because that's what I'm good at when it comes to homeless. The thing I do personally is here. I realize my best contribution to paying things forward is helping you. I wanted to do this hike in Switzerland that I had done as a younger man that was the most beautiful hike I've ever taken. It's in the Lauterbrunnen Valley. And so I went back and did that hike. The YouTube videos that come off this channel, I hope, are the advice for my kids. So I hope some of them choose when they're older to watch these or listen to them. But I feel like I met that because writing isn't as much fun as streaming. So this is my video journal. I've been to Ireland. I managed to go to India for work 5 times. For any of you who are Indian or in India or know about India, I got to go to Diwali in Mumbai. And I did a bunch of other fun stuff. I've ridden an elephant. I've been a few interesting places in India. All in South India, though. I need to come back and do the North. We have a big dog, or a medium-sized dog. Again, Twitch and YouTube is my advice book or blog. And I'll foreshadow, I never got to where I was content if none of these ever happened. This was the first thing on the list before I sorted it. Be content even if nothing on this list ever happens. I didn't get there yet. All right, so let me come back and talk about goals and why I think they matter. So I wrote these goals 10 years ago, and I what's interesting, and you'll see when I go to the goals that, good. I see this comment. I'm going to interrupt myself. Somebody said, I just came to your stream for the first time, and holy smokes, watching just 5 minutes of your stream makes me want to go out there and do what I want to do. Fantastic. That's exactly, and you can. It may take some time. And yes, welcome to the stream. It may take some time to go check off some of your goals. The interesting thing, though, is there were about 40 goals on this list. So I met 13 of them. I have about 27 left to go. As you'll see, I'm going to cancel a couple of them. There's a couple of them I don't care to complete anymore. But the first interesting thing is 10 years after I wrote these goals, I'm probably going to cancel 2 of them. So the goals are 95% accurate 10 years later. Like, you don't change that much, particularly when you're a little bit older like I am, or even like I was 10 years ago. I was only 40, which I know only 40 for some of you sounds like, oh my God, 40. But to me now as 50, it's only 40. It's all perspective. We'll get to that, Sean123. We'll get to the goals that are left and which ones I'm eager for. We'll do that in a minute. The first thing, though, have long-term goals. Spend some time thinking about what do you want to do with your life and what do you want to set out to do. You'll notice, by the way, if I flip back to this list, almost all these goals are fun. Now, a few of them have to do with like raising children or physical health or charity. So they're not all play. But a lot of them were things I wanted to do for fun. So this was a fun exercise. This wasn't some like deeply thought out, guided by a spiritual guru and an expensive coach. This was just me writing down like, hey, how do I want to spend my life? You know, I'm at Amazon. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And it's so much fun to have these. Well, so I set these as life goals. Someone, Opal in chat says, what's long term? I have a friend who does this. He revises his goals every 10 years. And that's when I found these. I realized I should update them and talk to you all about them. Long term is what you decide when you're younger. I don't know how old you are. When you're younger, 2 or 5 years is very long term because it's hard to imagine your life more than 2 or 5 years in the future. When you're a little older, 10 years is long term, 5 to 10 years. And then now, as a 50-year-old, I absolutely think about, I only have so much life left. I don't want to be morbid about it. But let's say I have a normal life expectancy in the 80s. How am I going to use the rest of that time? So I'm now thinking about goals that cover the next 20, 30 years. What is important to me to get done in case, you know, tragedy strikes or poor health strikes. So I'm going to see what Ricky Rye has to say here. Yeah, so the exercise he's talking about, where you write your obituary or you write your epitaph, so what would go on your tombstone, is a pretty good exercise, at least to think about it. Again, you don't have to be morbid. But back when I was in college, I actually wrote my epitaph, so exactly the exercise he's talking about. And in my case, what I wrote was he stood by his friends, because loyalty is very, very important to me. And so my sort of watchword, or what I said would be on my tombstone, is he stood by his friends. And I think I've done that. I think I have lots of good friends, and a number of them are here in this channel or know me. And there's some people I've just started to get to know. But I think the people I've made friends with would say I invest in them and I stand by them. So far that one's on track. Yeah, Thean, make a bucket list because you can update it. This was something of a bucket list before that movie came out and the term was popular. So my point is, either you can go through life undirected and random, which works for some people, or you can have some goals. And I chose to set some goals. So let's look at the ones I have not yet completed. I'll bring the list back up and let's talk about the ones I haven't done and what I think about them. Whoops, that's not the right thing. Here we go. So my daughter is adopted from China. Many of you know that. And so 10 years ago, she was 7, and I thought, well, I should finish learning, or I should learn a little bit of Chinese so I can share it with her. She's 17 and doesn't seem to be that interested in her Chinese heritage, and I have limited time, and Chinese is comparatively hard. If Liger were here, he'd tell me, no, you can learn it, but that's probably one of the 2 goals I would cancel now. I speak a little bit of German. I speak a little bit of Spanish. So I want to improve those. I am Christian. So someday I may go on a long-term mission. I would love to spend a year living abroad. And my wife and I aspire to that. We also like to sail. So sailing in the Caribbean is really easy. I think we'll get that one done. Sailing across an ocean is comparatively hard and dangerous. So I'm not sure I'll do that. So somebody, NVA Hitch comments, go on a cruise. So let me tell you why I put that on there. I actually don't care that much for cruise ships. It was more like be not uptight enough and not hyperactive enough to sit still on a boat for a week and enjoy the pool and the cocktails. It had less to do with like enjoying the cruise life than the fact I'm a little bit overstimulated. And yes, I am talking about actually sailing a yacht. There are different types of cruises, by the way. Big cruise ships, Duke, I kind of agree with you, could suck. I did a cruise as a kid on a 100-passenger boat from Seattle to Alaska, and that was pretty cool. Hike to base camp. Someone asked me base camp what? Base camp of Everest. I think it would be fun. I don't aspire to climb Everest. I can rant on that if you'd like. But I would love to do the hike to base camp. So, Danny, we can definitely go sailing. My wife, 40 Pink Dragons, and I, we're in a sailing club. We have access to boats. I think you do too. So we can connect and go sailing when you're ready. So why would I not climb Everest? They've ruined it. The Sherpas now control the main route up Everest, and they fix lines, which means they nail in ropes every climbing season from base camp all the way to the summit. And when you go to climb the mountain, they clip you into the rope, and it's now basically a Disney ride where the Sherpas drag your arse up the mountain from 17,000 feet to 29,000 feet, take a ceremonial photograph, and charge you $70,000 for the experience. Look, it still takes a lot of effort and conditioning and dedication, but that's not climbing a mountain. That's something else. It's a guided, high-risk Disney ride. So that's why I would not climb Everest. It's the same reason I would not climb Kilimanjaro. It's just instead of Sherpas, it's the local tribes there. You have to be guided. And yes, it's $70,000 roughly to go on an Everest summit trip, which, yeah. I don't generally like guided experiences because I like to do things myself. Now, if you saw the pictures I shared a week or two ago, my wife and I do guided trips sometimes because sometimes it's a good way to learn. And if you have a private guide, it's not as oppressive. But yeah, I'm with you, Austin. Might as well just get a helicopter at that point. The only problem is helicopters have a service ceiling below 29,000 feet. But as soon as they invent one that can helicopter to the top of Everest, you'll have people doing it. I was on Everest. I paid $7,000 and got the ride. Yeah, it galls me. All right, let's do the rest of them. I will climb Devil's Tower. My wife is into it. She's a better climber than I am, so we'll climb that. Because I struggle with weight, I wanted to break my lust for chocolate. I'm not going to cancel this goal, but it seems tenuous I will ever achieve it. What I can say is I've improved my taste for chocolate, and now I'm pickier and eat less of it. I just eat better. But I don't cheat on goals, so we won't call that one done. And Sean asked me which of these goals I most want to do. I'll get through them and I'll answer that. Meanwhile, I hope all of you are coming up with you can hate all of my goals, but you should come up with your own goals. And I really think it's worth it to have some idea and some way to keep score and be inspired. This list, when I read it, when I found it after 10 years, I went back and read it. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And I want to do that. And I took it and I showed it to my wife. And I'm like, we should do this and we should do that. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And you can see just from my animation, I was like energetic and happy. And she's like, yeah, we should do that. Having goals is cool. I wanted to fly an ultralight. This could become fly a plane. I'd like to be a pilot. I don't know if that'll happen. My parents are from the Great Depression, which tells you I'm old and they were really old. And so I got taught to hoard money, and it's a sickness. I'm getting better here, but, I spend only a tiny fraction of what I make. I put it all in the bank. I bury gold in the woods. No, I don't, at least not as far as you know, and you'll never find my coordinates. But I'm broken this way and I know it. So I'm trying to become more normal. I can report cautious improvement. This was the one that I'm not sure I'll meet, but it would be cool. I would love to see the Earth from orbit. It's not a high priority, but if it becomes really easy, I would love to do that. Don't want chat to invest in the markets for me. No. Bury it into ETFs. Excuse me? Uh-oh. Yeah, chat as my investment. Unfortunately, I cannot say I've mastered the work, family, God, self balance yet. I'm working on it. Maybe if I, put a strike through in the line that says work, which by leaving Amazon I might do, I'll get better at this. I would love to climb the Eiger. This would be a dirty trick. The hardest climb in Europe is the north face of the Eiger. It is well beyond my capability. But it has other faces, and some of them aren't that hard. They're like difficult hikes with a little bit of climbing. The Eiger is a mountain in Switzerland. So you can Google it. If you Google north face of the Eiger, you'll get a picture of a really big, well, I'll go do it. Pictures are fun and we have time. Why not? Stand by. Because we're having fun here today. We're talking about the value of goals, and we'll take questions on it in a minute. You guys need to be putting questions in about the value of long-term goals to make me explain this better. So go ask me hard questions while I type this in. I need hard questions. They make... All right. Wow, I'd love to play this video. This guy's crazy. I don't know if it will play. Let's find out. Yeah. I had to wait through an ad. 1 minute. 1 minute. So there was this crazy Swiss climber known... my God, I missed the skip ads button. Come on. Let me out of this. All right. So here we go. You probably won't have volume. I don't care. I'm just going to show it in my file display window. So that's the north face of the Eiger. This guy Uli Steck is, of course, now dead. He was nicknamed the Swiss Machine, but that's the north face, and you can see it's just basically a bunch of pure rock. He held the speed record for climbing it. And the first 13 climbers to attempt to climb this wall in the 30s died. Uli climbed it alone without ropes or anything else in like 2 hours, 30 some minutes. And so, yeah, look at him go. Like, he's just like chugging up it. He was capable of climbing at a rate of over 1,000 meters. He could climb at over 1,000 meters an hour, which just, it's unbelievable. Yeah, so there he is. Like, I mean, he's just sprinting across this vertical wall. And like I said, the first 13 climbers who attempted to climb this all died. And here he is just like, oh, I got this. So, of course, he then proceeded to die on Everest. So, on the Lhotse face. So he was doing something like this and got caught in an eye. Yeah, oh, hell no. That is so. Now you see why I don't intend to climb the North Face. But just look at this dude. Yeah, that's the 1938 route, the first route people attempted. Yeah, you know why this guy was called the Swiss Machine. He came to Seattle and I saw him talk. And he talked about the Sherpa problems. But, like, look at that. No ropes. Crazy. Let's see. I'll try and make this better for y'all since we're watching more of it. Let me see if I full screen it, what happens. Boom. There you go. Dramatic. Yeah, look, he's like a speck. I mean, my God. So anyway, I would like to climb to the top of this mountain by some other route so I could say without disambiguating, I have climbed the Eiger. It would totally be bullshit because I'd have gone up the backside, which is like, it's technical mountaineering, but it's not harder than stuff I've already done. So, by the way, this is the second time he's doing it. And the reason it's the second time he's doing it, you saw the footprints all through it. He basically, he went and climbed it, and then he had to do it again for the cameras, because the first time he didn't want cameras so that he knew he could do it and he could concentrate on speed. So that's enough of Uli. Crazy though, eh? So we'll go back. Yeah. I mean, it's just nuts. It's just nuts to do that. Okay. So anyway, I would like to climb that. I think it would be super fun to shell something with a real cannon. So you can tell I was having fun with some of these goals. I have not done that yet. I don't care if that's a howitzer or if that's like an old pirate cannon. But come on. You said first wrong. I don't know. If you climbed like that, yeah. No, that guy was skinny. Oh my God, he was a little dude and he was ripped, of course. So I'm going to retire. We own an RV. I think this one's in sight. It is true I would like to do a Bob Ross painting. I enjoy him. I'd like to live to help grandchildren get started in life. I don't have any yet, but my daughter says she wants some. I love Yellowstone and the Yellowstone Lodge. So I would like to stay in a room in the old historic Yellowstone Lodge. That one's pretty easy to pull off. It'll probably get it done. I haven't yet been to Scotland. Scotland is not top on my list right now, but it's high. My daughter's name is Ty, and she's from the town of Taijo, which is where her name comes from. The funny thing here is I offered to take her there. We had a trip all set up, and she didn't want to go. So I'm not sure how to count that goal, like done or not. So this one I kind of sort of, I don't know. I have to decide, is 50 still young? Because I'm going to now take 6 months off, at least. But I did take a 3-month leave of absence 5 years ago. And then the last one is, I don't know if any of you know what a portaledge is. It's basically like a flat platform that you camp on when you're mountain climbing and there's no flat spots. You just have to hang it. So, like, let's see. It's another, for Sean, it's another hell no. Canceled due to uncontrollable factors. I like that, Danny. That's not bad. Portaledge images. There we go. Let's switch over so you can see it. So that's Portaledge camping. Like they're somewhere in Yosemite Valley. They're hanging off gear placed into the wall, and they're going to sleep that way tonight. So I've heard that if you do this, it's very clarifying. Like if you spend the night, because you have to strap yourself in, right? Because rolling over would be a little bit bad. Rolling over the wrong way. So you have to wear your harness and be clipped in. I've heard it's very, it's kind of like going on a vision quest or fasting, or maybe Devin Nash and his flair for edibles of different types. I've heard you have quite a mental experience. And yes, what do you mean sleep? Anyway, yeah. So I'd like to do that. I'd like to do it to see if I could handle it. So, all right. So those are all my goals. So now I'll go see if you guys have asked good questions about them, but we can talk about long-term goals. They're fun and they can guide you. And here's the point. By thinking through what do you want to do in your life, it forces you to then be able to think, okay, so let's go back to this goal sheet real quick. If I want to do that, what's it going to take? Like, what do I need to do in order to be able to do some of these things? So some of them don't take as much planning, like shell something with a cannon. Great. Find someone with a cannon and a target. Like, this is possible. Climbing the Eiger requires getting in better shape and going to Switzerland. Flying a plane requires planning. Climbing Devil's Tower requires planning. Then there's the really long-term ones, like, do you care, obviously I already had children at the time I started thinking about grandchildren. And yes, a lot of these goals take a lot of money. But interestingly, if you've ever read, and I recommend this book all the time, if you've ever read 4-Hour Workweek, let's talk about it. Most of these goals, there's a couple of these goals that are freaking expensive, but most of them aren't. So let's look at the ones I haven't done yet. Be content if nothing on this list ever happens. Okay, so that's totally internal, $0 cost. There's free apps for this stuff. So you can learn all these languages, like either a little bit of money for something like Rosetta Stone or free. If you wanted to go on a long-term mission, you could find a mission organization that would pay you, or join the Peace Corps or whatever. You can do this kind of stuff. You won't make money, but you don't have to spend money. TNLC, the mods will pop up my book list. I have a list of my favorite books, but you're new here, so you should go look at them. 4-Hour Workweek's a good book. It's not the most impactful in my life. So spend a year living abroad. Well, if I get a job there, my first plan for this was to have Amazon transfer me abroad. Again, if I'm still working, this one doesn't cost net money. Sail in the Caribbean. To rent a sailboat's about $5,000 a week. So this one's $5,000, like legit $5,000. Sail across an ocean. Okay, now this is expensive. Unless you go as crew on someone else's boat. So there are ways to do this cheap. People who want to do transatlantic passages need crew, and they may not pay you, but again, they'll take you along for free if you can stand them. A cruise depends on how good, but you can get a discount cruise for $1,000, a nice one for $3,000 or $4,000. So that one's easy. Hike to base camp. That's like a airplane ticket to Kathmandu and then some money. So I don't know, call it $3,000. You just want to live in New York City again. All right. Cruises right now are pretty cheap. Wonder why. Yes. Wear a mask. Kilimanjaro is going to be a little bit of money for sure. Devil's Tower, it's about the skills and the gear. So say $1,000 of gear and then having the skill, maybe $500 of travel. Stopping something is free. Learning to fly, getting a private pilot's license is $10,000 to $15,000. So we'll forget what I'm going to fly. But if you just want to fly something one time, like go co-pilot it while somebody else flies it, so you're flying but not really, a couple $100. So I want to point out most of these are not, they can be a lot of money, but they don't have to be. So I don't want everybody to think like, oh, hey, thank you, Mr. Rolling and Money guy. Good goals for you. But also remember, I didn't have the money when I was your age, assuming you're in your 20s. I have more of it now. See this point, right? Because I spent my life hoarding it. So I saved it up and, now I have it. So go see the FIRE movement, right? Financial independence, retire early. See if you can do better than me. This one would be the expensive one. There's no cheap way to do this. It's definitely the most expensive goal on here. This one's a self-mastery goal. It's free. This one, $5,000 again. Fly to Switzerland, hire a guide. The Canon one, I bet you can pull this off for under $500 plus travel costs. I bet I could do it cheaper than that if I really worked on it. In fact, now I'm curious. Let's find out. Let's do this. Always got to make sure. Fire a real cannon. I'm trying to find out, all right, here we go. I haven't vetted this article. We're just going to make sure it's not got any porn. But here you go, right? Google in 10 seconds, and here's someone offering want to fire a Civil War cannon. Here's how you can. So, I bet this isn't that hard. And whatever. Let's see what they say it costs or something. The program will be held between 10 and 2. I guess it was probably only on some specific day. The fee for the course is $10. I mean, come on. You can go fire a real cannon for $10. Yeah. So I didn't figure it would be that hard. But the point is, the 4-hour work week makes the point. Goals don't have to be crazy expensive. Okay, this one's a little more, but it's retirement. So you're trading in your house or whatever. This one's free. This one's the cost of a hotel room. Travel to Scotland's whatever you spend. This one's travel to China. The Bob Ross painting, $50. It might be a bad painting if you want it to be better, like $250. This one's 6 months of lost income. So depending on what you make, it's kind of expensive. And then this one's virtually free. It's travel plus the cost of one of those portaledges. So my point is, most of the things here are free. Sean, 123, are you still here? Oh, there you are. You can probably fire a cannon in Vegas. Check out Battlefield Vegas. You ask which of the things I haven't done I most want to do. I really want to live abroad. I love America. I'm an American. I'm very proud to be an American. Maybe right now I'm not very proud of American conduct, but I would love to live in Europe, maybe some other places. So that one's very high on my list. This has been a dream since I was a kid and I first saw the thing. Prince Ricky Rye. Well, that's possible to go hiking here. I've done that with people before. Depends on how fit are you. The last set of people I took hiking were very nice, but they weren't up for it. And they were all younger than me. There was one kid. He's a young man. There was one young man who could hang. He was fast. I was giving up 25 years to him. I did not pick what I consider to be a hard hike awesome, but I definitely put some stress on some people. Anyway, so next time I'll be more clear. Be good at hiking, reasonably good. If you don't hike regularly, don't ask to go on a hike with me. If you're oh, the woods, that's new. I have tennis shoes. Probably not the right thing for you to do. What else do I really want to do on this list? Live overseas, climb Devil's Tower. Scotland's pretty high on my list. Travel is so much a thing. What you guys haven't asked is what do I want to add down here? I haven't started adding to it, but the thing I need to do with my wife is start talking about what goes on lines 42 and following. So, this one should clearly, because it's number 42, say experience life, the universe, and everything. So I'm not going to interactively build out the rest of the list, but my wife and I need to collaborate on what goes on lines 42 to 60. For example, she would have travel to Greece on here if it was a shared list, and I'm good with that. So she would add travel to Greece, and I would add travel to New Zealand. There's some other stuff we'd add. Soapbox wants to know if Jeff can help me get to space. Maybe. How do you set goals with your family? Best practices. You got to talk to them. This is a good topic, Ricky, and I'm going to go to the questions if anybody's asked questions in our extension. But you've asked a very good question. I will go ahead and answer because I want to give a better answer. I want to give a longer answer. And people should vote. There's a few questions there, but they have very few votes. And there's a lot of you here, so go vote. It's patriotic. It's required. Danana, thank you for popping up the question thing. So, Ricky, what people do too little of is talk to their spouses and family about sensitive issues. And it's hard. But 4 Hour Work Week has a quote in it. It's not Tim Ferriss. It's Tim Ferriss quoting someone else. And the guy says, I can generally determine how successful someone will be by the number of hard conversations they're capable of having. If you want to set goals with your family, you have to go talk to them and find out what's important to them. So I've had lots of conversations with my wife about travel, about one day living abroad, about all kinds of stuff. I've had lots of questions or lots of conversations, and some of them have been debates or arguments, things that were very important to her, that mattered a lot to her, that I was not as supportive of, or things that were very important to me that she struggled with. People suck at actually just speaking their mind. And you don't have to be rude. You don't have to be confrontational. It's a little bit like the question was asked early in the broadcast where someone asked, how do I give feedback without making people mad? And so if I want to talk to my wife, I ask her things like, is this a good time for conversation? Is this a time I could ask you some questions? And if she says no, I wait till later. But then we go and have a conversation. So, oh, Prince Ricky, some of your comments there in chat will get me in trouble. As far as I know, by the way, having met him, Prince Ricky Rai is African American or of African descent, but only he can then say that people of that ethnicity don't really hike. We're trying to fix that, by the way. I'm on the board at the Washington Trails Association, and we're trying to diversify hiking. So, items to add. Sean has suggestions. Antarctica, interested, not the top. Audrey, my wife, would add Patagonia. Shark diving, I've done. So check that one off. Australia, I've done. Check that one off. African safari, I've done. Check that one off. So you're going to have to work harder. See, one of the things is I've done a lot of things that aren't on the list. I've just had that chance. But 40 Pink Dragons would add Patagonia for sure. So I asked my company and have a non-compete agreement. I'm making it look... Fun question. All right, so we have some questions here. I'm going to jump in on them. Polynesia, Micronesia. Hephaestus, good question. The place I most want to go is Truck Lagoon. The Japanese used it as a base in World War II, and it got the hell bombed out of it, which tends to happen in a war. And the bottom of this relatively shallow lagoon is covered with World War II wrecks. And now you can like dive and see the tanks still on the deck of old warships and stuff. Truck Lagoon. Yeah, so it's got tons of yeah, here, check this out. I'll switch to the display. This is where I'd want to go there. I like to scuba dive. This is like all the different things that you can go see. You know, all the sunken wrecks, and obviously there's like more to it. So this is all the things that got sunk in the harbor. I mean, look at all those, like, man, I so want to go do that. The different places where stuff got bombed crazy. So anyway, so I don't know. That just seems like completely fascinating. And diving in wrecks is really neat. Adding that to my list. 7th Fleet. Good man. All right. So I promised to do some of the actual questions y'all voted on, and then I'll come back to stuff in chat. And I love suggestions. If you have things I think that you think, I have prayed at the Western Wall, Rich. I did that. I got sent to Israel on business, and I had a Jewish colleague who asked me to put a note in the Western Wall. I don't know if, Rich, you're Jewish, but there's this tradition that notes placed in cracks in the wall go directly to God. And so she sent a note with me for me to put in the wall. So if you're not Jewish or you don't bring your yarmulke, the little round hat, they give you a paper one. So there's a picture of me like holding it on my head because it's windy and trying to put things in the wall. But I had the chance to do that. I've had a lot of good luck in my life. So I did not visit the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I visited a lot of other things around Jerusalem. I went to the Dome of the Rock. I went to a bunch of other sites. And I was very, very lucky. So this is a story none of you have heard, actually. So I was with this guide because the company we were with hired us a guide to take us to Jerusalem for a day. And while we were in Jerusalem, he was translating the radio, and they were talking. It was like a talk show, just totally dishing on their then leader, Itzhak Rabin. And the talk show was just really down on the guy. And bottom line is, at the end of the show, or the day I was supposed to leave Israel, I got on my plane and left, and he was assassinated like an hour later. And so my boss, they closed the airport. Like, they closed the country because they weren't sure who had assassinated him. And she was trying to figure out the time zones to figure out if I had gotten out or not. So I would have been trapped in Israel for at least a period of time after his assassination. So I was there. I mean, Israel has a lot of unsettled times, but I was there the day he was assassinated. So anyway, question: should you establish plans for your goals or simply attempt to complete them as you sojourn through life? Both. Sometimes it will be opportunistic. Obviously, I didn't, in this story I've told where I wrote this file of goals and then tucked them away, I was not planning through most of them. But I think planning is good. So some of them are long-term plans that I was working on either subconsciously or without referring back. But I would say a goal without any kind of plan is basically a hope or an aspiration. So I would say goals should have some kind of plan. The thing is, you need to be flexible. Things will change. Some goals will get done for free. Like travel to India, I put that as a goal because I had a lot of friends from India. And then I got a job where we opened an office in India, and I got sent to India 5 times for work. So that goal got met for free. So that's cool. And then some of the others, like losing weight or maintaining my weight or saving money for retirement, were plans. So I think you can have a mix. So good question. With many speakers and books, next question, pointing towards achieving many short-term goals to be successful and happy, how are these different than setting long-term goals? So, short-term goals are mainly about getting stuff done. They're not telling you why. It's the difference. A short-term goal is generally not about a why. It's not about a big life question or a big achievement. It's about something that needs to be done. So it's take the dishes out. Why? Take the garbage out. Why? It smells and it gets picked up on Tuesdays. Do the dishes. Why? Because they're dirty and they'll smell and we need to eat off of them tomorrow. Like, it's much more, I'm obviously talking about really small short-term goals there. But the point is, short-term goals are often more about stuff that needs to be done. They're not about places you're going or things that will give you meaning. Raise healthy, well-adjusted children, that's a long-term goal. Have financial independence, it's a long-term goal. And that can have short-term goals, like live within a budget this week. Don't spend more than X dollars on entertainment. Break my gambling habit, whatever it is you need to do. But they're different in that the short-term goals are usually things you do in order to attain a long-term goal. And if you don't have some idea what your long-term goals are, then here's the important point. This is one of the golden points. This has been a fun show and I've rambled some. An important point is if you don't have long-term goals, the world will set them for you. In other words, somebody is managing your time in your life. Is it you or is it somebody else? Is society setting your goals and is Madison Avenue feeding them to you through advertising? Or are you thinking about your goals and we all have limited agency in life. You can decide how much self-determinism is available to you. That's a philosophy question. But to the degree that we each have some autonomy and choice, are you using it or are you letting someone else use it for you? Are you letting time, media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok decide what you think and what you do and how much? We all are to some degree. We're all influenced by media. But how much are you fighting that influence and trying to think for yourself versus how much are you drifting through life doing what your friends, your significant other, your parents, etc. tell you? I speak to no one, everyone, particularly in chat. How much are you letting your friends and parents or social network dictate what you think is important versus deciding for yourself? At least trying to have just the tiniest modicum of independence from what other people think you should do. All right, that was my one. We have a new tradition where I end up calling out chat. So I did. This was a huge drink. I can feel it. Woohoo! If you could be 20 again, how would you figure out, this is the next question, how would you figure out to make certain things short-term goals versus long-term goals? I.e., trying to get a job while applying for grad school as a backup, studying for the GRE GMAT, and trying to learn new skills for those companies you're applying to, all while trying to stay sane. That sounds crazy. So all of you will end up wishing you could be young again with the wisdom you've acquired over the years. Like, I don't know anybody who's older who doesn't say, oh, I wish I could go back to be 20, but with all the wisdom I have now and do it again, because you do it so much better. In fact, the point of this show is to try to let you do that, to try to give you my 50-year-old wisdom so you can adapt some of it and not make all those mistakes I made or make fewer of them. And Gunnar, I'm really glad that you feel you always leave the stream with something to think about. That's a high compliment. Thank you. And Fighting Pickles, same thing. I appreciate you. So figure out how to make certain things short-term goals versus long-term goals. So you can't do everything. You have to prioritize. This is like a question on prioritization because it lists grad school, job, GRE GMAT, new skills. You got to pick what I read in this question, and I think I may know the author, but you got to commit to something and put your heart into it. Yes, you need a backup plan, but do you really want a job or do you really want to go to grad school? Well, whichever one you want to do, put 80, 90% of your effort into that and live with the fact that you may fail or struggle. It turns out in America, it's very unlikely failing or struggling will kill you. It's very unlikely that you will really be set back. I mean, I say this all the time, and some of you always gripe when I do in chat, but let's go for it. You're all English speaking, English reading, have a computer, have internet access. Most of you are in America. Most of you who aren't in America are in Western Europe. So you're in rich countries that have good social networks, social support networks. If you're not in the US where you have good opportunity or both, yes, you may struggle some, but you're probably going to end up being in the top 1%, top 5% of the world. Well, you're already in the top 1% of the world. You're going to end up being in the top 1% or 5% of the economy. So I know it doesn't seem that way right now when you may be eating ramen noodles and worrying about what's going to happen next. But the fact is, when you're an old geezer like me, you're going to be rolling in it like Crash Drops says. You're going to be golden. And so try not to over worry and pace yourself a little bit. And I'd rather you either get a really good job or you apply to a really good grad school. Like, by trying to do everything, you're going to do everything half-ass. Pick a couple things and try and do it really well would be my advice. All right. Moving on. Next question. What are your goals for 2020 to 2030? Do you plan on taking more risks, assuming that you didn't take risks when you were young, being fiscally conservative? Yes. One of my biggest regrets is that I took too few risks. I was too conservative. I grew up with extremely conservative parents, and I was too conservative. And so between 2020 and 2030, I will be more ambitious. And you can see that right now I'm quitting my job. When I told my sister I was quitting my job, the first thing she said was, "Oh my God, what are you doing? You have a great stable job at a great company. Are you out of your mind?" So my family will put in the not supportive bucket. That was literally the first thing she had to say. But I'm leaving because I'm ready to do something else. And I've realized all that advice I just gave applies to me too. Like, I'm in a great situation. The odds that I won't be able to get by, maybe, for example, here, you'll say like, "Oh, well, you're a VP. You must be fine. Everything will be great." The economy could totally tank tomorrow. Lots of people are unemployed. We have a big pandemic. We have an election coming. I won't get into the politics, but we have two very different people. They could lead in very different directions. You could have war. You could have trade war. You could have socialism. You could have all kinds of stuff. You have pandemic, might get sick. I can list all kinds of fears. Why on earth would you leave your job and your healthcare and whatever to go teach more and mentor more and try and meet some of your goals? I'm trying to be better at taking risk. This again, I know I've quoted him a lot. Tim Ferriss in the 4-Hour Workweek. He talks about the fact that we overestimate risks, and most risks probably work out, and most of them are recoverable. There are a few risks, like, say, playing Russian roulette and losing, that don't have recovery paths. But most risks are reversible. So I leave my job at Amazon, I can probably get it back. If I can't get it back, I can certainly get a job at another company. I move abroad. Let's pick a country that I'm not planning on, Tajikistan. I move there. I don't like it. I can move out. I used to fear international travel a little bit. And then I realized basically from anywhere in the world with a credit card, you can be home having your McDonald's in 24 hours. There are a few places where you might be taken hostage and it would be longer. But yeah, I was way too risk averse. And so I would say totally take risks. Yeah, Duke of Thought. I will totally bankroll your startup idea as long as you can do it on a budget of $1 and a collection of gum wrappers. I got you. If it's more than that, we'll have to take up a collection and chat. We'll see. I'll give you, 5% of whatever they donate. So, well, I have the gum wrappers right here anyway. I'll front you the gum wrappers and the dollar will come later. So, all right, sweet. So, yes, I hope to take a lot more risks. Check in with me in a few years. Look, if you follow me on any social media or here, I'm going to be posting more things I'm doing, partly as a way to inspire you and show you that we can do different things, and partly as a way for you, for me to challenge myself to have interesting things to post. So, Paige is shipping. All right. What else we got for questions? If you could be a college grad again, a fresh college grad, what would you do differently when setting goals? Trying to figure out what you enjoy and don't enjoy. You can't get an internship, so you've graduated, so where should you go? This is a complicated question. I think the biggest mistake I made coming out of college was I didn't immediately start studying what am I good at and not good at. What do I like and not like? I discovered it all experimentally. I would have sought career coaches and mentor. I didn't have any idea of a mentor. I was too arrogant to ask for a mentor. I thought I knew everything, and so I just started working and learned everything the hard way. So whether I'm your mentor or somebody else is, the fact that you're listening to advice makes you way better and smarter than I was. I just charged in and figured I knew everything and started telling people what to do. And the people who didn't hate me listened to me, and it kind of worked out. So, yeah. So, I think I would go get the main thing I would do is I would seek more advice and be more humble and ask more questions. I was an arrogant son of a bitch, and I don't recommend that as an approach to life. You can be confident. You should be. But being closed, I was all the things. Look, why do I lecture you all so hard? Why do I teach so much? Because I did every single thing you hear me talk about, I probably did. I resisted feedback. I was mean to people. I was short with people. I didn't pretty much everything I've ever talked about on this channel is don't do. It's because I did it and burnt my hand on the stove. And then I was like, oh, the stove is hot. Maybe I should tell other people the stove is hot. Don't touch the stove. All right, we'll do a couple more questions, then I'm going to wrap it up. We have a good one here. This is a tough one. Would you change your spending in your mid-20s knowing your income level now? I struggle with financial hoarding as well, and I'm not sure how to find balance in my 20s. I lived with less distance between my income, But the answer to this is probably yes. I'd probably spend a little more because I robbed myself of a lot of joy by being so worried about money. What I would really try and do is not spend more, but be less stressed about what I was spending. If I could magically lighten up that, I'm type A, and lightening up would have been worth more than spending more. But I probably should have spent a little more at times. I've cheated myself out of some experiences by being... Here's an example. Many of you know I'm divorced and remarried. If you don't, now you do. When I got married the first time, we got married in a winery. And it was a great ceremony. And we had rented out the winery for 4 hours for a party. So we had a private party at a winery. 55 people drank 33 bottles of wine. We did pretty well. I still remember those numbers to this day. But at the end of it, they came and offered us. Everybody was having a good time. And my wife had found out. They said, oh, we can extend our rental on the fly. We can extend the rental. Do you want to have everybody stay another hour or two? So these are our 55 closest friends at the time. And I said, no, we're 4 hours. We're done. We've paid for some wine. It's like $175 an hour. So, okay, this was a long time ago. Imagine it's like $300 an hour, modern money. And I said no. And that was a huge mistake. Everybody was having a good time. We had our friends and family together. I should have used the $300, or $600 because it was my damn wedding. But I was too cheap. So I was pretty cheap. I used to say to my dad, who taught me a lot of this, that he could rub 2 pennies together. He could squeeze a penny hard enough to make Lincoln scream, and he could rub 2 pennies together and make a nickel. And that's how I thought. And so I missed opportunities that I should not have. So Awesome has a good quote here. I don't know where it's from. He usually can cite his sources. Live without fear or you'll end up living with regret. Within reason, that's true. Now, if you live too much without fear, you won't end up living, or you'll end up living maimed and sad. But generally, he's right. All right, we're going to jump to the next question, which I'll probably have to do myself, which is okay. Save that one off. Next question is, do you believe that if you don't know what you want to do with your life, you should go soul searching as a fresh new graduate? If so, how would you go about approaching the construct of soul searching? So soul searching will probably be a lifelong endeavor. You may get better at it and be more refined. And Iceberg Gaming, you're very welcome for the answer. I believe you should start soul searching right now. However old you are or young, you should start because you're going to want to know something. And you're going to want to know about yourself. The unexamined life is not worth living. So I would say you should start, but that doesn't mean don't get a job. Like, you don't have to go off in the mountains and live poor as a guru or not work in order to soul search. It can definitely be a nighttime activity. It can be a laying awake in your bed at night activity. It can be a early morning in the shower activity. You can soul search tons of time. So, the unexamined life is not worth living is not my quote. If you Google it, Hephaestus, you can find out who it is. But it's someone, alas, currently more famous than me. So Clownface, I would spend to my last penny to have more memories with my family. So I did not understand that, and I missed some of those opportunities, and so I'm trying to do much better now. And that's why our good friend T Weirdo is over at our house a lot, because we try and surround ourselves now with friends and family, and I learned that too late. I did not grow up with a close family. I grew up with a family that fought like cats and dogs. If you have a close family, treasure it and suck it up and own it. Get all you can out of it. If you have a distant family that fights like cats and dogs, go make your own family with friends and have some people who care about you. But either way, surround yourself with people who care about you. Because money won't hold you and keep you warm at night. And money won't be there by your deathbed. But family and friends will. And so, yes, that's like very, now we're deep and we're no longer career coaching, we're life coaching. But money won't hold you and keep you warm. So you need people who will. You need mixologists who will make you giant drinks that are now gone. Switching to water. I swear it's water. No, really. It's another big cup. Who knows? All right. So that's how I'd go about it. If so, how would you go about approaching the construct of soul searching? Get a coach. Get an older person. Go talk to older people about what's important to them or how they figured it out. Read a book. There's a million books about finding yourself. A million books about how to know what's important or how to find meaning. There's lots of ways to do this. Like, this is not hard. It's a matter of being willing to spend the time and look into yourself and ask the questions. And it's fun. I love it. A few of you will hate it. I love it. All right, I want to answer this next question, and then we may speed run the last few. Define your view on what is the difference between arrogance and confidence. Sure, arrogance is being certain that you know what you're talking about because you're you and you're so goddamn smart. Confidence is having proof of your past abilities and saying, I know I've done this before, and so I know I have a certain level of competence and ability until proven otherwise, but I am open. In fact, I enjoy learning new things. So arrogance is about how great you are and therefore you're right. Confidence is about, look, this is what I've done, and unless you have a better idea or we have time to explore alternatives, here's what I propose and here's what I put forward. Arrogance comes at things from how great you are. Confidence comes at things from I have done this and I would love to be shown better, but if you can't show me better, I know this will work. So sure, it's a bit of a nuance, and you can always look, no arrogant person ever says, oh, I'm actually arrogant. They always say, oh, I'm just confident. I know. But there is a difference. Confident people they want to learn better. They're open to the idea that there could be a better way. Arrogant people are not. That's probably the crystallizing it. Arrogant people can't hear that there might be a better way because it threatens who they are. Because they must be the best. They are the best. Of course I'm the best. How could you not think I'm the best? Oh my God. I can't even be around you. You disgust me. Go away, worm. That's the internal thought. And no, Crash Drop, you're clearly not the best. You don't even rate. But you're a nice guy. So, anyhow. All right, let's see. Of the completed goals, which are you the proudest of? This sounds like a Sean question. I'll have to go back and let's look at proud of. Let's go back and look at the list. It'll be fun. We'll do this real quick. I got to go scroll that list because that's on the ones I haven't done. Which am I most proud of? Rainier, Uganda, Major Invention, Major Adventure, Patents, Audience. So keeping weight off, I've kept off 70 plus pounds for 25 years. Statistically, that's very unlikely. Like fewer than 10% of people who lose that kind of weight keep it off for life. So I did. Yeah, so the competitors for top here, doing something really cool with my kids is probably number one. Keeping the weight off is probably number two. Patents is number three. The rest of them, I'm super glad I did them, but I wouldn't say I'm proud of them. I mean, I don't know. I might be skipping one, but family, right? So doing something cool with family, doing something to help others, taking care of myself, and having the chance to invent things. Those matter. Places I've been, the rest of these were fun. Hiking was fun. Going to Ireland was fun. Going to India was fun. Yeah, I don't know. And then if we look at the stuff down here, I think the person asked, which you most wish you had accomplished. I talked about these, but which do I care about the most? Like the most meaning? Finding internal peace and harmony, which is this one. It's related to this one. Some of these goals overlap, by the way. If I were writing these goals now because I know more, I would be more careful to try and make them distinct. Like 29 and 31 overlap, and they have to do with internal peace and harmony. But which of these would I be? Let's say I could do any of these and be telling you I've done it. Which would I be most proud of? Helping grandkids get started in life. Again, people goals. I would add more people goals. Like if I were writing these goals and adding to them now, spend lots of time with friends and family. And here's a goal for all of you. Invest in others to improve their lives. So if 10 years from now, I can write 10,000 lives improved, I will feel really good about that. And I think it's possible. Right now, I'm not helping 1,000 people a year. I'm helping more like 100, like really change their lives. But I see your stories in our Discord server about how I've changed your lives, or how the advice of this channel and the community is help people get jobs, help people get internships, help people get to grad school, help people get raises. That's incredible, and I wouldn't want to give that up. So if I can do that, that would be well worth it. So, yeah, that would be completely worth it. So there you go. There's a goal for all of you. And now I got sad. Alcohol sometimes makes me weepy, and I love you, man. So I love you, man. I want to help you all. Hopefully I've done some of that tonight. Okay, so we answered that question. We'll go back to one camera. Aw, that's sweet. Woodcrest Mafia. Big sub from Woodcrest Mafia. Thank you so much. That was an incredibly kind gesture from you. So thank you. That's awesome. So I don't know as I've met you before, but welcome to the community and thank you for being here. And now the new interface says I can also thank you for the emote, which really the emote not such a big deal, but you being here is awesome. So thanks. And I appreciate the support. All right. What else we got? How do I know when to search for a partner? Oh my God. Wrong channel. I'm always talking with my wife, 40 Pink Dragons, about having her on the show because she would be better at answering some of these questions. And she always says, quite truthfully, that I'm willing to answer authoritatively when I'm only 51% sure, whereas she wants to be like 90% sure. Woodcrest Mafia. Okay, I know who you are. Congratulations again on your raise. I appreciate that. Yeah, Woodcrest managed to get a good raise, and that's fantastic. So T Weirdo 40 Pink will probably come on some shows in the future. We agreed she'd probably sit in the back and mod, though, because she's not going to want to talk as much as I do. So you do need a partner, I think. But let me finish reading the question. I'm 18, college freshman, working hard in an internship, and I'm very motivated to further my career, but I feel rather empty without a partner, and I fear I'll go too far through life and end up alone. So you're young. You're probably not at risk of ending up alone yet. But what I would say, and this is really important, I married poorly. By the way, sometimes my ex-wife occasionally watches this channel. She would agree she married poorly. Like we were young and didn't know better. We were not well matched. My current wife, my second wife, 40 Pink Dragons, also married poorly. We were not old enough to know ourselves. So see the earlier question on soul searching. You can't find, unless you get blind lucky, you aren't going to find a partner without knowing what's important to you, because it happens. For example, I made this list of goals before I met 40 Pink Dragons. So if we switch back over to the goals, here's the fun part, okay? Because I knew what I was looking for and I talked to my partner about my prospective partner, I don't think there's a single goal on my unmet goals that she would disagree with. And so she's listening to this show. She's modding right now. She's seen all of these. When I met her, she said one of her dreams was to sail to Patagonia. So that's sailing across the whole Pacific Ocean. I know, therefore, she likes to sail. We talked about living abroad. She's a Christian like I am, so long-term mission. She wants to work with orphans. She likes to climb, so like climbing Devil's Tower, she'll probably be leading the climb. I don't think there's a single goal in here. There's some she's uninterested in. I don't think she could give a shit about shelling something with a cannon. She probably, quite correctly, is like, oh, that sounds like some testosterone overdrive. But she doesn't object. And most of these, she's never seen them before I found this list. The only one I think she's not into is this one, because she likes her camping to have reasonable bathroom opportunities, and that one does not. And so there's like one goal on here. I'll go talk to her after this, or she can sound off in chat. But there's only one goal on here that I think she'd be like, Yeah, so that's all you, bud. Um, I don't know. Is there anything else? Yeah, no portal edge for her. So everything else, and why is that? Why is it that my life goals are so aligned with hers? And then the one she would add, I said she would add Greece and some other stuff. It's because I knew myself enough to talk to her before we got married about what was important to me and what I wanted to do. And she knew herself enough to be sure what she wanted. So, Mr. 18-year-old, who's hopefully still listening if you're here, first get to know yourself. And if you have a lot of lust or whatever, Tinder will take care of that for you in the meantime. But don't get into a long-term relationship without first knowing yourself well enough to know what you're looking for. Because both 40 Pink Dragons and I, and also T Weirdo, and probably lots of other people in the chat, older people, have nasty divorces behind them because they didn't know themselves well and their spouses didn't either. And they basically had a Tinder date and thought, wow, that felt really good. And I like sex and maybe some other stuff. And so they got married. And that's not a very good marriage algorithm. So, yeah. And being more honest, and I'm not a great marital advisor or relationship advisor, but I would say the key word that you got to watch out for in this question is I feel rather empty, but more than that, I fear. Fear will drive you to bad decisions. Fear is a bad reason to do something. Now, fear is not, I guess, a bad reason to run from a charging tiger, but generally in higher level society, fear is a terrible reason to do stuff. You take a job out of fear. Yes, marriage algorithm. It's true. I'm a geek. Yeah, fear isn't even it's hard to even classify it as a thought, right? Fear is an emotion or a feeling, which then drives irrational thinking. And so what I would say about what you've written here is I would challenge the question, or I would challenge some of your premises. You feel empty without a partner. Got it. You want friends and companionship. Got it. You're lonely. Okay, make connections to friends and try to build society around you, but don't make a lifelong commitment out of fear. Particularly, you're 18. You will not go through life alone. People get married at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Some of them many, many times, far more than me. You will not go through life alone. You have to have some confidence in that. The Buddhist idea is being comfortable sitting with your discomfort is what it's called. All right. 2 more questions and we're done. We're going to finish up by 7:45 at the latest. Should I take the plunge buying a house or hold for economic collapse? Housing prices are going up right now because everybody wants out of cities. So if you want a house in a city or a condo, wait, buy later. If you want a house in the country or the suburbs, buy now and wait for it to go up. There's your free, no nuances economic advice for the afternoon or evening or whatever time zone you're in. Next question, last question of the night. Any advice for someone who wants to start going to school in their 30s, long-term goal of having a career instead of a job? First, God bless you, do it. Second, God bless you, do it. Third, Takimchi, thank you for the Prime sub. And I hope you're doing well, by the way. I wasn't expecting a relationship advice on my first time watching in a while. Well, we're a variety show now. We're moving up in the world. If you haven't heard, I'm going to leave Amazon. So I'm branching out. Apparently, I'm going to be Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Have you developed any recent hobbies? I'll answer that next, Ivy. Yes, so what I would say is totally try and have a career instead of a job. My advice is do it, and do it. Look, you're 30. You're probably going to live to be at least 80. You got 50 years. Schooling is 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You can do it all from home now. Homeschool is the new way, so you don't have to go somewhere. You can do it on the cheap. Hell yeah, improve your life. Totally. If you have a job and you want to change, I have lots of videos on that. Do it. Do what you dream of. Someone else, I don't know if he's still here, I think it was Thiel, was saying this stream tonight inspires him to chase his dreams. Do what you love. Oh my God. Yes. So my advice is pick a school and be sure you know what you want to do. What you don't want to do is run away from the fact, whatever, you're a plumber, you're a welder, you're a cashier at the local quickie stop, whatever it is that you're trying to get away from, and you're just doing any job. Instead, or getting any degree. Hopefully by your 30s, you know what the hell you want to do. And so, my sister has, my God, she's got dietetics, botany, drafting, education. She's got a teacher's certificate, a library, and now she's got a librarian's degree. She's got like 4 different degrees, at least 3, and doesn't really use any of them. So, but pick one thing that you in your 30s, you should now know what you're good at and what you like. Don't just pick something that's supposedly about money. Pick something that you really want to be a part of and do. Okay. And then Ivy asked me a fun question. I'll take it out of chat and we'll wrap up with that. Recent hobbies. Yes, 2, 3. Since the pandemic started, I've started riding a bike. I never was a big biker, and I really enjoy it. I got a decent bike, and I ride on the local bike trail. My wife is a distance runner, so I took up running with her so I could do it with her. And I can proudly say I've run up to 5 miles now, which for some of you are like, whatever, 5 miles, like I ran 50. And for others of you are like, 5 miles, that's like 4.8 miles further than I've ever run in my life without something chasing me. And then the last new hobby is we just bought paddle boards. So they're all outdoor stuff, running, biking, paddle boarding. The bike is a Specialized Sirius X5. So it's an all-carbon cross bike, but mid-range, simple for riding trails. So Awesome has a friend who was an international competitor. If you didn't see him, John Coyle was on our show a little while ago. A little while ago, meaning a few weeks ago. John Coyle was an Olympic medalist in speed skating, big leg muscles, and he was a velodrome bike racer, also big leg muscles. The video's coming out shortly, Awesome. We were getting the thumbnails made today. So it should be out very soon. It's been delayed. So here's a guy with he's all leg power. And he had like 14 bikes, but he wanted to live on the road in an RV. So he had to cut his bike. Imagine this. He had to cut his bike collection down to just 5. Poor guy. No, so he has much better bikes than I do. And that's probably why Awesome's asking. All right, everybody. It's been all over the place. It's been fun. I, as a part of my new life, am going on vacation next week. So the place I'm going is so remote. It supposedly has no cell signal and only Wi-Fi in the resort lobby. And so I will be out in the mountains having fun with my family and friends, hiking, climbing some mountains. There will be good pictures. So when I get back, we will do a picture show. Ether Night, good to see you here. And then as of today, I have 5 days left in my Amazon career. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and 2 days when I come back. And then I'm out. I'm free. Doc Saint, appreciate the streams as always. Enjoy your vacation. Thank you. So for everyone here, you have been awesome. You have been a great audience tonight. I love you all to death. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And I will see you for pictures and more education. Please drop by our Discord if you have had a recent career success. Share it in the career success channel, just like Woodcrest Mafia did. That way, others can benefit from knowing it's possible, because there are some people here who are struggling to find jobs and they need inspiration that it can work out. Sherlock Holmes, nice of you to check in. All right, everybody, you have been wonderful. I will see you in a couple of weeks. I haven't decided if it'll be on the 8th or the 9th, but here's your offline screen. Good night.